The Father holds the key, and when He turns it in your favor, no power on earth can shut the door. The lottery to the world seems like chance. But to the awakened soul, it is divine order, for there is no such thing as chance in the kingdom of God. The Father directs the hand, the number, the moment, and the manifestation. And when it is yours by divine right, it comes with perfect ease, at the appointed hour. Many say, it is impossible, it is luck, it is uncertain. But I tell you, with God, nothing is impossible. The same infinite intelligence that hung the stars in the heavens and keeps the seas in their boundaries, holds within His hands the secret of your supply. And when you stand in faith, unshaken by appearances, the Father reveals the key that unlocks your fortune. The subconscious mind must be impressed with certainty. You must speak, "The Father holds the key to my riches, and the door now swings wide. I play only under divine guidance, and what is mine comes to me swiftly, in perfect ways." For every word spoken with faith is a seed, and the harvest must appear. If fear, doubt, or envy enter, the door remains shut. But the moment you cast them out and replace them with gratitude, faith, and expectancy, the lock turns. The key is in the Father's hand, and He gives it to His children freely when they believe. I have seen lives transformed in a single day, fortunes unlocked in a single hour, and men lifted from despair to abundance by a single act of faith. The lottery, the inheritance, the opportunity, these are only channels. The true source is God. Look not to the paper ticket, but to the Father who directs the outcome. Affirm daily, "The key to my abundance is in the Father's hand. He turns it now in my favor. Doors swing wide, riches are released, and my fortune comes by divine appointment. I do not strain, I do not chase. I stand still, and I see the salvation of the Lord in my finances." Remember, the Father delights in giving good gifts. You need not beg, you need not plead. You align with His law, and you receive, for what belongs to you cannot be kept from you. And so the lottery is not a gamble, it is simply another channel by which the Father may deliver His good. Stand firm, speak the word, and watch as the locked door opens. The Father holds the key, and today, He places it in your hands. There is no chance in spirit, for chance belongs to the realm of illusion, to the outer world. Life appears as a series of accidents, strokes of luck, and coincidences. Men say, "He was fortunate" or "she was lucky," as if the universe were governed by dice and fortune wheels, but the awakened soul knows that nothing comes by chance. Every event, every meeting, every supply, every opportunity is a perfect outworking of divine law. There is no disorder in spirit, no randomness, no hazard. What the world calls chance is simply unseen order, moving in silence until it comes forth in visible manifestation. The ignorant man looks at the lottery and says, "It is luck, it is uncertainty, no one knows." But the illumined soul says, "The Father knows, the Father holds the key. For if even a sparrow does not fall without His knowledge, how much more shall He direct the flow of riches, inheritances, and opportunities for His children?" To spirit, there is no gamble. The outcome has already been written in the unseen. What belongs to you cannot be taken from you, and what is not yours cannot be held, even if you grasp at it. Divine right governs all things. One who understands this truth does not tremble, does not strain, does not chase after luck. He walks calmly with the assurance that his portion is secure in the Father's keeping. He does not beg, nor envy, nor wonder whether he will be chosen. He knows that he has already been chosen, for he and the Father are one, and the Father delights to give him the kingdom. The so-called element of chance is dissolved in the clear light of truth. Spirit is law, and law never falters. I have often seen those who play without faith, driven by desperation and fear, and they reap accordingly. Their words are filled with uncertainty. Perhaps, maybe, if only, and so the law gives them exactly what they speak: uncertainty, confusion, disappointment. But I have also seen those who play with faith, who are inwardly guided, who declare, "The Father directs my hand, the Father ordains my steps, I am led to my divine right supply," and lo, the invisible order works swiftly. A door opens, a way is made, the numbers align, and their portion appears, not by accident, but by divine appointment. When you recognize that there is no chance in spirit, you cease to live by fear. You are no longer moved by appearances. If one door seems shut, you do not despair, for you know that another door, better and wider, is opening. If one opportunity passes, you do not mourn, for you know it was not yours by divine right. You begin to see rejection itself as protection, delay as preparation, and waiting as alignment. The outer world may call this luck, but you know it as order, perfect, precise, mathematical, infallible order, written by infinite intelligence. The key is your word, for every word spoken in faith aligns you with that hidden order. Speak carelessly, and you entangle yourself in appearances. Speak deliberately, and you step into divine flow. Declare, there is no chance in spirit. My life is ruled by divine order. The Father holds the key to my supply, and I walk calmly into my fortune. As you affirm, so it becomes. The subconscious is impressed, and the outer world obeys. It is a strange truth, yet a comforting one, that what the world calls miracles are nothing but natural law, understood and obeyed. To spirit there is no miracle, no accident, no hazard, all is harmony. When the seed is planted, it must sprout. When the word is spoken, it must return. When the prayer is affirmed, it must manifest. The only uncertainty lies in the doubting mind of man, not in the steadfastness of God. Think of the river that flows to the sea. To the one standing on the bank, it may seem to twist and turn, to wander aimlessly, to strike rocks and barriers. But to the river itself, the course is certain. It cannot fail to reach its destination. So it is with your fortune. Appearances may twist, delays may come, barriers may arise, but the Father has already written the course. The river of your supply is moving toward you, and nothing can prevent its arrival. There is no chance, no gamble, no uncertainty, only divine flow. Therefore do not say, I hope I am lucky, but declare, I walk in divine order. Do not say, perhaps it will come, but affirm, it comes now, swiftly, by right of consciousness. For what you hold in word, you hold in hand. Spirit responds not to chance but to faith, not to begging but to knowing. The world may call it luck when you win, but you will know it was law. And so, having understood that there is no chance in spirit, you step naturally to the next truth, that the Father holds the key, and no door can remain shut when he turns it. The Father holds the key, and no door of supply can remain shut when he turns it. Men may place locks upon doors, they may hide treasure in vaults, they may guard fortunes behind iron gates, but when the Father wills, the gates swing wide of themselves. That which belongs to you will never pass you by, and that which is yours by divine right cannot be withheld, even if it is buried under mountains, for spirit knows no obstruction. The key is already in his hand, and when you align with him in thought and word, the door that seemed impossible to open will turn at a touch. So many people live as though doors are forever barred against them. They say, I knock and nothing happens. I try and fail. I seek and do not find. Yet they forget that it is not their hand, but the Father's that opens the way. You do not batter down the gate of fortune with force. You do not win supply by anxious striving. You rest in the certainty that God himself is the keeper of keys. Your part is to stand in faith, to declare with assurance, the Father turns the key for me now. My good comes forth swiftly and without effort, and the law, obedient to the word, brings the manifestation. When you look at the outer world, it seems as though many doors are shut. A man goes to a bank and is refused. Another applies for a position and is turned away. Still another plays the lottery again and again and never wins. To the outer eye, these are locked doors, but to the eye of spirit, these doors are only waiting for the divine key. At the appointed hour, one door will swing open so suddenly, so easily, that the man himself will wonder why he ever doubted. That is the movement of spirit. It does not strain, it does not struggle, it simply turns the key. The trouble is that most people try to turn the key themselves. They scheme, they push, they worry, they chase after opportunity. And the more they push, the more tightly shut the door becomes. It is like trying to force open a lock with the wrong key. It only grinds and resists. But when they surrender to divine order, when they say, Father, you hold the key, you open the way, suddenly the right door presents itself, and it opens without struggle. Spirit never uses force. Spirit works by effortless rightness. I have known men and women who lived in lack for years, striving to make their way by their own effort. They knocked on every door, sought every channel, and found only disappointment. But when they turned in surrender, when they spoke the word of faith, "Father, you hold the key to my supply," then came a letter in the post, an unexpected inheritance, a ticket with the winning number, a sudden opportunity. The supply was never lost, it was only waiting for the Father's key to turn. This is why envy is useless, why resentment is poison. To look at another's open door and cry, "Why not mine?" is to close your own. You do not know the divine timing, the unseen workings behind the veil. You only need to affirm, "My key is in the Father's hand, and He turns it at the perfect hour." Then you walk forward calmly, knowing that nothing and no one can keep your good from you. The lock may appear unyielding, but to God it is as thin air, and here lies a greater truth. The Father holds not only one key but every key. The key to health, the key to love, the key to wealth, the key to peace of mind. Whatever door seems closed in your life, the key is already prepared. You need not fear delay, for divine timing is never late. You need not fear denial, for divine order cannot fail. The key is in the Father's hand, and His hand is always sure. Let your words align with this truth. Say not, "If the door opens," but declare, "The door is opening now." Say not, "Perhaps someday," but affirm, "Today is the day of demonstration." For words are keys themselves, and when spoken with authority, they unlock hidden treasures. Speak with the calm assurance of one who knows the key is already turned, and you will walk into rooms of abundance you never dreamed existed. The world calls it luck, but it is law. The world calls it chance, but it is order. One moment the door is shut, and the next it swings wide, and men say, "How fortunate." But you will know it was the Father, and the Father alone, who turned the key. And so you move naturally into the next truth, that your fortune does not come by chance, but by divine right, and what is yours is already chosen for you. Your fortune does not come by chance, but by divine right, and what is yours is already chosen for you. This is a truth that dissolves fear, envy, and anxiety, for it reveals that no man competes with another, no woman can take what belongs to you, no event can rob you of your inheritance. The outer world believes in competition, in striving, in clawing one's way to the top, but in spirit there is no struggle. Each soul has its portion, written and sealed in the invisible, and when the hour strikes, it appears in perfect ways. You may look at another who has received a great fortune, and the thought arises, "Why not me? Why has he been chosen and I left empty?" But I tell you, envy blinds the eyes and shuts the door. You must know within yourself, what is mine, no man can take it. No circumstance can hinder it, it is secure in the Father's keeping. This is the faith that unlocks manifestation, for faith sees beyond appearances and rests in divine certainty. The world says fortune is unfair, that some are destined to win, while others are destined to lose, that some are born into riches, and others into lack. But the awakened soul knows a higher law. He knows that divine right is not the plaything of chance, but the inevitable working of spirit. And what is yours, by divine right, will arrive, no matter how the outer world may appear. If it must come through a winning number, it will come. If it must come through a forgotten inheritance, it will come. If it must come through a stranger's kindness, it will come. The channel does not matter, for the source is God. This truth brings a strange peace. You cease to grasp and cling, for you know your fortune is already chosen. You do not chase after shadows, but walk calmly in the light, confident that your portion is secure. And strangely, the less you strive, the faster it comes. For striving springs from fear, and fear clouds the path, but calm expectancy clears it. Declare daily, "What is mine is already chosen for me. I receive it now in divine order." Speak these words until they take root in your subconscious, for the subconscious, once convinced, becomes the faithful servant of spirit. I have known people who strained for years, chasing fortune with anxious hands, and it always escaped them. But when they released their grasp and affirmed divine right, the fortune appeared, as if it had been waiting all along. One woman told me she had prayed for supply, but always with fear, saying, "Perhaps it will not come, perhaps another will take it." And so her prayer was neutralized by doubt. But when she declared with certainty, "My good is mine by divine right, and I cannot lose it," then came a sudden opportunity, and her fortune was released. What changed? Not the outer world, but her inner knowing. This is why the Father's key is so powerful. It is not a matter of luck, but of rightness. The lock will not open to envy, fear, or desperation, but it yields easily to the key of divine right, and once opened the treasure flows without strain. Your part is to believe, to expect, to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord in your affairs. It is also true that what is not yours by divine right will never satisfy you, even if you seize it by force. Many have grasped at wealth through dishonest means, only to find it turn to dust in their hands. Others have envied another's blessing, and even if they managed to imitate it, they found no peace, for it was not theirs. Only what is yours by divine right brings joy, for only that carries the vibration of harmony. Therefore release all coveting, all jealousy, all restless grasping. Say instead, Father, I rejoice in another's good, knowing mine is already chosen and comes in its appointed hour. This truth frees you from fear of loss, for if your good is yours, by divine right, it cannot be stolen, delayed, or destroyed. It is safe in the Father's treasury until you are ready to receive it. And when it comes in such a way that you know it could not have been otherwise. You will look back and see that every delay was preparation, every obstacle a hidden blessing, every closed door a turning of the key in your favor. The lottery is one such channel, and many see it as mere chance, but when played under divine guidance, it becomes a symbol of this truth. For the number that aligns with you is not chosen by hazard, it is drawn by order, and if it is yours, no one else can hold it. This is not to say you must cling to the lottery, but rather that you must look past it, seeing it only as a channel, not the source. The source is spirit, and spirit has already chosen your portion. When you walk in this faith, you become calm, unshaken, and filled with quiet expectancy. You know your fortune is secure, that it is coming by divine right, and that nothing can prevent it. The world may look and say, how lucky you are, but you will know it is not luck at all. It is law, it is divine certainty. It is the Father's perfect will, unfolding without chance, without hazard, without fail. And so, having known that your fortune does not come by chance, but by divine right, you are led naturally to the deeper realization that the lottery is only a channel, and the true source of wealth is God Himself. The lottery is only a channel. The true source of wealth is God. How often people make the mistake of fastening their gaze upon the outer channel, and forgetting the fountain from which all supply flows. They look to their wages, their business, their investments, or their tickets of chance, and they tremble with fear that the channel will dry up. But the one who understands divine law knows that the channel is nothing and the source is everything. A channel may change 1,000 times, but the source remains eternal, inexhaustible, and unfailing. To cling to the channel is bondage, to trust the source is freedom. You may buy a lottery ticket, you may play the game, but remember always, it is not the paper, not the number, not the draw that gives you supply, it is God. The ticket is but an instrument, a passageway for spirit to deliver what was already yours. If you believe the ticket itself has power, you give your faith to an idol, and idols always fail. But if you see God as the source and the ticket as merely the means, you remain rooted in truth, and truth never fails. One man clings to his business, saying, "This is my only security," and when the business falters, he falls into despair, for he believes his supply has vanished. But another man, awakened to spirit, says, "My business is but one of many channels. The Father is my source, and He can open new channels in a moment." When his business closes, another door opens swiftly, for his faith was never bound to the form but fixed on the invisible fountain. Such a man walks in freedom, while the other lives in chains. It is the same with the lottery. Some chase it with desperation, believing their only chance of wealth lies in a winning ticket. Their faith is misplaced, and so they are constantly disappointed, for they have confused the channel with the source. But the awakened soul may buy a ticket in peace, without strain, declaring, "If this be the channel, let it open. If not, the Father has a better way," and in that calm expectancy, the law works swiftly, whether through the ticket or through another means altogether. I recall a woman who affirmed faithfully that her supply came from God in perfect ways. She played the lottery not in fear but in joy, seeing it as one possible channel. One day she won a large sum, and she said to me, "I knew it must come, but I cared not how. I did not cling to the ticket, I clung to God, and the ticket became His instrument." This is the right attitude, for the moment you release the channel and fasten yourself upon the source, channels multiply of themselves, and your supply flows unhindered. Spirit is infinitely resourceful. What you imagine can come only through one channel. Spirit can bring through 1,000. If one door closes, he opens another. If one way fails, he prepares a better way. If you hold too tightly to the form, you may miss the miracle, for God's methods are often beyond the understanding of man. Supply may come through a stranger, through an unexpected gift, through a forgotten account, through a sudden idea. It matters not, for the channel is nothing but the vehicle of spirit. The true supply is invisible, until it clothes itself in visible form. Therefore fix your eyes on the fountain, and not on the pipe. Declare, God is my supply, and every channel is under his command. If one closes, another opens instantly. I do not fear, for the source is eternal, and the source is mine. These words carry power, for they shift your faith from the unstable to the unshakable, from the temporary to the eternal. And when faith is rooted in the source, channels appear with ease, often in ways the human mind could never have arranged. I have known those who clung to a single expectation. It must come through this person, it must come through this ticket, it must come through this job, and they were disappointed again and again, for they had bound themselves to one channel. But when they released their grip and said, Father, I trust you to choose the way, their good arrived swiftly, sometimes through a means they had never imagined. This is the secret: let go of the how, and trust the who. So do not despise the lottery, nor cling to it. Do not despise business, nor fear its failure. Do not despise wages, nor cling to them as your only hope. All are but channels. The true source is God, and he is inexhaustible. When you understand this, you walk in a new freedom. You are no longer shaken when one way seems blocked, for you know another will open. You are no longer anxious when appearances shift, for you know the fountain cannot run dry. This truth carries you naturally into the next realization, that words spoken in faith are themselves keys, unlocking the hidden doors of supply, for the word connects you with the source, and commands the channel to appear. Words spoken in faith are keys themselves, unlocking hidden doors of supply, for in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Creation itself came forth by the spoken word, and the law of spirit has never changed. Man speaks, and his world shapes itself around the vibration of his word. Speak in fear, and fear manifests. Speak in doubt, and doors remain shut. But speak in faith, with the authority of one who knows the source, and doors that seemed sealed for years open swiftly, as though they had been waiting for that very declaration. Every word you utter is a seed. Seeds of faith bring harvests of abundance, while seeds of fear bring barren fields. People speak carelessly, not knowing they are locking themselves in prisons of their own making. They say, I never win, I never prosper, money never comes to me, and the law, obedient and impartial, repeats their declaration, never, never, never. Their own words hold them captive, but the awakened soul understands the power of the word. He speaks deliberately, with intention, knowing that each affirmation is a key, turning unseen locks, and releasing hidden treasures. One woman, in despair, cried out daily, I shall never be free from debt, and so debt chained her more tightly each year. At last she was taught the law of the word, and she began to affirm instead, I am free from debt, I walk in abundance, the Father is my eternal source, and all my needs are supplied. At first her reason rebelled. She said, it is not true, I am still in debt. But she continued to speak the word of faith, and in time unexpected money appeared, opportunities opened, and her debts dissolved. She had unlocked the door with the key of her word. Faith is not mere hope, it is certainty. Words spoken in faith carry authority, for they are backed by the consciousness of divine order. It is not enough to repeat words mechanically, while the heart is filled with doubt. The words must be spoken with inner knowing, as one giving a decree. Say, the Father holds the key to my supply, and he turns it now in my favor. All doors are open, all channels are free, and my good rushes toward me in perfect ways. Speak it until the vibration takes root within, until the subconscious accepts it as truth, and the outer world will align itself accordingly. The subconscious is like a faithful servant. It does not argue, it does not question, it simply obeys the impression it is given. If you feed it fear, it builds walls. If you feed it faith, it builds doors. Your word is the tool by which you impress it, and your faith is the fire that seals the impression. Thus, every spoken word of faith is a key, and every repeated affirmation is a turning of that key in the lock. The moment the subconscious accepts it, the door swings wide. It is marvelous to observe how swiftly things change when the word is spoken with authority. A man once told me that he had no luck, that doors always shut in his face. I said to him, "Your words are shutting the doors. Say instead, every door of good opens for me. The Father is my doorkeeper, and no man can shut what he has opened." He obeyed, though at first with doubt, but he persisted, and within weeks he received an unexpected offer that altered his entire fortune. The doors had been there all along. His words had been the keys to unlock them. Let your words be rich with expectancy. Do not declare lack, but abundance. Do not declare delay, but immediacy. Do not declare struggle, but ease. If the outer world appears barren, do not give it your agreement. Instead, say, "This barren field bursts into bloom. My harvest is already ripe, and I reap it now." Your word is the creative force that overrides appearances. Appearances are shadows, but the word is substance. Speak the substance, and the shadow must conform. The lottery, the job, the inheritance, these are only shadows of the true source. It is your word, aligned with spirit, that commands the shadow to take form. You may hold a ticket in your hand, but the true key is in your tongue. Declare it blessed, declare it guided, declare it divinely appointed, and if it be the channel, it will open. If not, another will appear. Either way, your word assures your supply. Guard your words as treasures. Do not speak idly of lack or misfortune. Do not make jest of poverty or curse your finances. Every word is a seed, and every seed will sprout. Instead, plant only the seeds of abundance. Say daily, "I walk in divine right supply. The Father is my source. Doors open, riches flow, and my fortune comes by perfect law." These words, repeated in faith, form the golden keys that unlock every closed door in your life. And as you hold fast to this truth, you move naturally into the next realization that fear, doubt, and envy are the only forces that jam the lock, while gratitude, faith, and expectancy open it with ease. Fear, doubt, and envy jam the lock, while gratitude, faith, and expectancy open it with ease. For the key may be ready, the door prepared, the supply waiting just beyond the threshold, but if the heart is filled with fear, the hand trembles, and the lock will not turn. Fear is faith inverted, faith in evil instead of faith in good. It paints pictures of loss, failure, and disappointment upon the canvas of the mind, and the law, ever obedient, brings those pictures forth in visible form. Doubt is the twin of fear, whispering, "Perhaps not. What if it fails? What if it does not come?" And envy is yet another thief, turning the eyes from one's own door to covet another's, poisoning the soul with bitterness. These three, fear, doubt, and envy, are like rust upon the key, and until they are cast out, the door remains sealed. But gratitude, faith, and expectancy are the oil that makes the lock turn smoothly. Gratitude lifts the soul above appearances, acknowledging the unseen good as though it were already visible. Faith sees the invisible as real and declares it done. Expectancy stands at the door with outstretched hands, certain that the blessing will arrive. Together, these three form the vibration that harmonizes with spirit, and when they fill the heart, the door swings wide with effortless ease. A woman once came to me, despairing that her supply was delayed. She said, "I pray, I affirm, but nothing comes." I asked her, "What do you feel when you speak the word?" She confessed, "I feel fear that it will not happen. I fear I am deceiving myself." And I told her, "You are speaking words of faith while watering them with fear, and the two cancel each other. Speak not until you have stilled the fear. Fill your heart with gratitude for what is already yours in the unseen, and then declare it." She obeyed, and soon she found herself guided to the very channel that brought her fortune. The door had been waiting all along. It was her fear that had kept it closed. Envy, too, is a great barrier. To envy another's blessing is to affirm separation from your own. When you look at another's open door with bitterness, you declare unconsciously, "Their good is not mine, and mine is far away." But when you rejoice in another's fortune, you align with the vibration of abundance, and abundance hastens to you. Say, instead, "I rejoice in the good of others, for what is mine comes to me now by divine right." No one can take my portion, no one can block my door. My key is in the Father's hand, and he turns it in his perfect timing. In this spirit, envy dissolves, and the lock yields. Gratitude is the swiftest dissolver of obstacles. When you give thanks for blessings already unseen, you magnetize them into form. Gratitude is faith made visible. The man who begins his day with gratitude, not for what he sees but for what is coming, is like a magnet to fortune. He says, "Thank you, Father, that my supply flows now. Thank you that doors are open, channels are free, and my wealth manifests in perfect order." Such a man cannot walk long without stumbling into blessings, for gratitude clears the path before him. Faith, too, is indispensable. It is not a trembling hope, but a calm assurance. Faith does not strain or beg, it knows. Faith stands still while appearances rage and says, "It is done." Faith hears no voice but the voice of spirit, sees no reality but divine order. A single word spoken in such faith carries more power than 1,000 prayers of doubt. Declare with unwavering certainty, "The Father turns the key for me now. My supply is mine, and I receive it in joy," and the law, infallible and immediate, must answer. Expectancy is the companion of faith. It stands watch at the door, not wondering if the blessing will come, but asking only when. It is the child who, having asked his father for bread, waits at the table with open hands. Many speak words of faith, yet live in expectancy of failure. Their lips say, "It is mine," but their heart whispers, "It will not come." Such divided consciousness produces delay, but when faith and expectancy walk hand in hand, manifestation cannot tarry. Say to yourself, "I expect my good at any moment, I look for it in every hour. My fortune hastens toward me, for the law of expectancy draws it swiftly." Fear, doubt, and envy lock the treasure chest. Gratitude, faith, and expectancy unlock it. You cannot serve both at once. Choose each day which company you will keep. Will you walk with fear that paints shadows, or with faith that brings substance? Will you harbor envy that breeds bitterness, or gratitude that multiplies blessings? Will you dwell in doubt that delays, or expectancy that accelerates? The choice is yours, and the law responds without error. And when these companions, gratitude, faith, and expectancy, are firmly planted in your consciousness, you are guided with precision, even in matters that the world calls chance. For then Spirit directs your hand, even to the smallest action, and leads you with infallible wisdom, so that what you touch prospers, and even a single ticket may carry the vibration of destiny. When guided by Spirit, even a single ticket may carry the vibration of your destiny. To the world it seems like a chance, a mere number drawn from a bowl, a coincidence without order or meaning. But the awakened soul knows that nothing is without design. Spirit directs the hand, Spirit chooses the moment, Spirit arranges the outcome. The number is not chosen by hazard, it is magnetized by vibration. When you are in tune with divine order, you may be led so precisely that even the smallest act, purchasing a ticket, choosing a number, walking into a shop at a particular hour, becomes the appointed channel for your fortune. This is why gratitude, faith, and expectancy must go before you, for if you are filled with fear, you cannot hear the gentle guidance of Spirit. If you are clouded by doubt, you cannot perceive the inward nudge. But when your heart is still, and your words are aligned with truth, you begin to feel the unseen hand directing you. You may hear within, "Buy it now," or "Choose this," or "Not today, wait." To the reasoning mind, these impressions seem trivial, but to the awakened soul, they are the voice of God, whispering the path of supply. I once knew a man who, for years, played without faith, guided only by guesswork. He grew bitter, saying, "The lottery is luck, and luck is never mine." I told him, "It is not luck, but law. Ask the Father to guide you, and then move in faith." He began to declare each day, "The Father directs my hand, I act under divine guidance, and what is mine cannot be withheld." Soon he felt an inner prompting to play on a certain day, and choose a certain number. He obeyed, and the ticket carried his fortune. He said afterward, "It felt as though it was waiting for me all along," and indeed it was. For Spirit had reserved that channel for him, and when his faith aligned, he received it. This is the mystery the world calls chance, but is in truth divine precision. For even the fall of a leaf is under law, and how much more the destiny of a soul. Spirit does not deal in randomness, Spirit deals in perfect order. When you are guided to act, it is not a guess, it is the outworking of a plan that has been written in the unseen. Your obedience to that guidance makes you the channel through which it manifests. Therefore, never despise the inner promptings, however small. The still, small voice often speaks in whispers, not in thunder. A thought may pass gently through the mind, do this, not that. If you are filled with doubt, you dismiss it. If you are restless, you overlook it. But if you are attuned in faith, you recognize it as the divine signal, and you act without hesitation. And lo, the act opens the door, and the fortune flows. This is why surrender is necessary. You cannot scheme your way into fortune, for scheming is the voice of the ego. But you can be guided into fortune, for guidance is the voice of spirit. When you say, Father, I trust you to lead me, show me the way, you lay down your struggle and take up his wisdom. Then each step becomes ordered, each choice infused with divine timing, until what seems like the smallest motion carries the weight of destiny. One woman told me she was moved suddenly to purchase a ticket in a shop she had never visited before. She could not explain why. She obeyed the impulse, and that ticket brought her the exact supply she needed. She said it felt like no accident, but a divine appointment. Indeed, when spirit directs, accidents vanish, and only order remains. The world may say, how lucky, but the soul replies, it was the Father guiding me. Guidance is never accompanied by fear or strain. When the direction is true, it comes with peace, with clarity, with a sense of rightness. You feel no urgency to act in desperation, but rather a calm assurance. This is the way. If confusion reigns, wait. Spirit does not drive. Spirit leads. Fear drives. Impatience drives. Envy drives. But the Father's hand guides gently, and when you follow, you find yourself at the right place, at the right time, holding the key to your fortune. This truth lifts the burden from your shoulders. You do not need to force doors open or chase frantically after opportunity. You need only attune yourself to spirit, listen inwardly, and obey the guidance you are given. The channel may be a ticket, or it may be a person, a job, a gift, an idea. It matters not. The outer form is unimportant. The inner guidance is everything. When you are guided, the outer world arranges itself with perfect precision, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Therefore, affirm daily, I am guided by Spirit in all that I do. My hand is directed, my steps are ordered, and I am led to my divine right supply. The channel is chosen for me, and I receive it with joy. These words align your mind with guidance, and the subconscious begins to watch for the signals, recognizing them more swiftly each time. Soon you will see that there are no accidents in your life, only divine appointments. And as you rest in this assurance, you come to know a greater truth still, that the Father delights in giving good gifts. You need not beg or plead, for His desire is to bless you. You have only to align yourself with His law, and the gifts that are already prepared rush to meet you in perfect ways. The Father delights in giving good gifts. This is the truth so many forget, for they see God as a stern judge withholding blessings, when in reality He is the giver of every perfect gift. The Father does not ration supply, nor does He measure it out with reluctance. His very nature is abundance, and to give is His joy. The heavens overflow with riches, and yet the children of God often live as beggars because they have not believed this truth. They imagine they must struggle, strive, and prove themselves worthy, when the Father has already decreed, all that I have is thine. It is not in man's nature to hoard when love rules his heart. Think of a parent who delights to see the child laugh, who gives not from compulsion but from joy. How much more the Father who holds the treasures of the universe? The mistake is not in His giving, but in man's receiving. Many shut themselves out by doubt, saying, perhaps He wills me to suffer, perhaps it is not His plan. They forget that lack is not of God, but of fear. They forget that the Father cannot contradict His nature, and His nature is unlimited supply. I recall one who came to me, weary from striving. She said, I have prayed and prayed, yet the answer has not come. Does God refuse me? I told her, God never refuses. It is only your own doubt that refuses. The Father delights in giving, but you must delight in receiving. You must open the gates with faith. I asked her to affirm daily, I am God's beloved child, and every good gift now comes to me by divine right. The Father takes pleasure in my prosperity. Within weeks she found herself supplied in ways beyond her expectation. She laughed and said, I had only asked for a door to open, and he flung wide the whole house. That is the way of spirit, always more than you think, always greater than your plan. For the Father is not limited by man's reasoning. Where you see only one door, he has 1,000. Where you see only one channel, he has infinite. The lottery may be one channel, but it is not the source. The source is God, and when you know the source, you cannot fear the channel. A stream may dry, but the fountain remains. If the Father delights to give you riches through one path, he can also delight to send them by another. Your part is not to dictate the way, but to trust his wisdom and give thanks in advance. The world teaches toil, but Spirit teaches joy. The world says, earn it by the sweat of your brow, but the Father says, receive it by faith. This does not mean idleness, for Spirit often directs man into activity, but it is activity guided by joy, not driven by fear. When you are guided by Spirit, your labor is light, your steps are ordered, and what you touch prospers. The supply flows because you are in harmony with the giver, not because you have forced it by will. There is a law hidden in the words. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, not his burden, not his reluctance, but his pleasure. Supply is not wrung out of his hand, it is poured forth from his heart. When you truly accept this, you cease begging and begin thanking. You cease striving and begin receiving. You rise in the morning saying, I rejoice in the gifts already prepared for me. I walk in the abundance of God, and as you say it, the doors swing open, the channels appear, and the supply flows in ways you could not have planned. One man I knew had lived in fear of poverty all his days. He hoarded, he grasped, he clung, believing that if he did not hold fast, all would vanish. Yet still he lived in want. At last he was brought so low he cried out, Father, I surrender, you must care for me, for I cannot care for myself. From that hour the tide turned, he was led into work that prospered, he was given opportunities that lifted him, and he testified, it was as though the heavens opened the moment I let go. The Father delights in giving, but he cannot give into clenched hands. You must release fear, release grasping, and open your hands to receive. This truth is the very key to manifestation. To know that God loves to bless you is to dissolve resistance. For how can you doubt when you understand that his joy is your good? How can you fear when you know he withholds nothing? Every breath you take is a gift, every sunrise, every heartbeat. If he gives these daily without your asking, will he not also give the treasures you require? He who painted the lilies and fed the sparrows has already prepared the riches of your destiny. You have only to accept them. Therefore declare with faith, the Father delights in giving, and I delight in receiving. All that is mine by divine right now comes to me in perfect ways, under grace. As you speak, feel the truth of it, let it sink into your being, until the fear dissolves and the expectancy rises. For when you expect joyfully, you align with the nature of God himself. You meet his giving with your receiving, and the circuit is complete. And know this, the gifts are not small, for the giver is not small. When God blesses, he blesses lavishly. When he opens the door, it swings wide. When he gives a key, it unlocks not only the treasure you asked for, but treasures beyond. You will say, truly the Father's hand has overflowed my cup, and as your faith grows, you will no longer wonder if he will supply, you will only wonder in what beautiful and surprising way he chooses to do it. For his giving is constant, and his channels are endless, and his delight is without measure. And so we move from fear into faith, from striving into rest, from doubt into joy, knowing always that the Father delights in giving good gifts, and that what he gives cannot be taken away. When man comes to the place where he no longer questions the how, he has stepped into the secret place of supply. For the mind left to itself demands explanations, it seeks to outline the channel, it seeks to dictate the path, it insists on knowing in advance the manner in which the blessing shall appear. But the Spirit says, be still and know that I am God. It does not ask you to know the details, it asks you to trust the source. The key is not in the channel, the key is in the Father's hand, and when you rest in this knowing, you are never disturbed by appearances, nor shaken by delays. For delays are not denials, they are but the rearranging of conditions in perfect order. Sometimes what seems a delay is simply the weaving of circumstances into a greater pattern than you could have imagined. Spirit's ways are far higher than man's. You may think the blessing must come through one avenue, and you watch that avenue with anxious eyes, but meanwhile God has prepared another path, unseen and far richer. The watchman who waits only at one gate may miss the royal procession entering through another. That is why you must release the how and rejoice only in the fact that it is done. I recall a woman who sought supply with great desperation. She prayed fervently for winnings from a certain drawing, convinced that this was her one hope. When the prize was awarded elsewhere, she came to me in tears, saying, "God has forgotten me." I told her, "God has forgotten no one. The key is never lost, it only turns in its own moment. What is yours cannot be withheld, and what is not yours could never bless you." Within weeks she inherited a portion she had not even known existed, far exceeding the sum she had hoped for. She marveled, saying, "I had fixed my eyes on one door, and yet God opened the whole house from another side." This is the way Spirit works. It comes in unexpected fashion, for the Father holds infinite keys. You must understand that your part is to claim, affirm, and rejoice, not to dictate. To say, "Father, I thank thee that my supply comes swiftly and surely, by the perfect key, under grace," is to stand in alignment with truth. It is like placing the correct combination into a lock. Suddenly the door swings wide, but when you strive to manage it, when you insist it must come through this job, this person, this drawing, you tighten the bolt yourself. You bind your own blessing with the rope of doubt. Man's task is always to hold fast to vision and word. See yourself already in possession of the good you seek. Speak as though it were already done. Thank the Father not for the promise of supply, but for the manifestation of it now. For the Spirit acts upon the spoken word. It is the declaration of faith that sets the law in motion. When you say, "I am rich in the riches of God now," you are tuning yourself to the frequency of abundance, and what belongs to that vibration comes rushing into your life. It is a divine paradox. You must act as though it were already yours before it appears. This is not pretense, it is faith. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, and it is the very substance of the thing hoped for. To doubt is to scatter the substance, to believe is to crystallize it. Therefore keep your thoughts steadfast, your words unwavering. Speak only of plenty, see only plenty, expect only plenty. Let no word of lack pass your lips, no thought of failure lodge in your mind. If such a thought arises, cast it out at once with a strong affirmation. God is my unfailing supply, and His good comes to me now. And remember, the Father has delights beyond money. Money is but one form of supply. The same key that opens financial doors also opens doors of health, love, peace, and opportunity. Spirit does not separate your life into compartments, it blesses the whole. When you tune yourself to abundance, you find yourself rich not only in gold but in joy, not only in possessions, but in wisdom, not only in outer comfort, but in inner peace. You begin to live in the overflow, where blessings chase blessings, and every need is met before it arises. The Father's key is never rusty, it never fails to fit, it never breaks in the lock, it is perfect, eternal, and sure. When you align with Him, you walk as one who knows the door is already open though your eyes have not yet seen it. You walk with calm assurance, unmoved by appearances, untroubled by delay, rejoicing as though the treasure were already in your hand, and because you rejoice, it hastens to you. For gratitude is the magnet, and thanksgiving draws the unseen into the seen. Thus we move from striving into resting, from questioning into knowing. We no longer cry, "How will it come?" but instead declare, "It is done." And in that declaration lies the power, for the spoken word is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. The Father holds the key, but He places the word upon your lips to turn it. Speak the word with faith, and the lock yields. And as the door swings open, you find that the treasure awaiting you is greater than you had dreamed, more beautiful than you had planned, and more perfect than you had dared to ask. The word is your wand, and the Father delights when you speak it with authority. For too long man has spoken carelessly, scattering idle words that bear idle fruits. He speaks of lack and wonders why he sees lack. He declares delay, and then complains that life is slow. He repeats, "I never win, I never prosper," and then marvels when poverty seems to pursue him. Yet the law is sure, by your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. The tongue turns the key, for the tongue speaks forth the belief of the heart, and the heart directs the unseen forces that shape your visible world. Therefore guard your words, for each one is a seed cast into the soil of life, and in its season it springs forth. You are not asked to create the treasure, for the treasure is already laid up for you. You are not asked to forge the key, for the key is already in the Father's hand. You are only asked to speak the word that turns the lock. When you affirm, "The Father holds the key to my riches, and the door swings wide now," you declare the unseen reality into being. You align yourself with the higher law, the law that operates beyond appearances. You may not yet see the door, but the word you speak opens it in the invisible realm, and soon it manifests in the outer. I have seen people who prayed earnestly but never changed their words. They begged God for riches yet spoke all day of bills and debt. They affirmed faith in one moment and contradicted it in the next. Their words were like a man building a wall by day and tearing it down by night. The law cannot be fooled. What you continually declare is what takes form. Therefore speak with care, and let every utterance be one of faith. Say only, "I am blessed, I am supplied. The door of fortune is wide open to me now," for the now is important. The Spirit works only in the present. To say, "One day I will be rich," keeps the blessing forever postponed. But to declare, "I am rich in the riches of God today," brings it into this hour. I recall a student who longed for sudden wealth. She affirmed faithfully, yet she would often add, "I hope it will come soon." I told her, "Hope is uncertain. Say instead, 'It is mine now, under grace, in perfect ways.'" She obeyed, though at first it seemed strange to her to speak as though it were already done. But she continued, and one morning she awoke with a deep peace, as though the answer were already in her hand. That very week she received an unexpected settlement, more than she had dreamed possible. She came to me and said, "The moment I stopped hoping and began declaring, the door opened." The word had turned the key. Man thinks the outer event is the cause, but it is not so. The outer is but the effect. The cause is always the word. The spoken word is charged with belief, and belief is the substance of manifestation. When Jesus said, "By thy words thou shalt be justified," he spoke a law as exact as gravity. To affirm is to call forth. To declare is to command the invisible forces of spirit to move into shape. And when you declare with joy, with gratitude, with expectancy, you become like a magnet that cannot help but draw the riches that belong to you. The Father is never reluctant to bless. It is man who is reluctant to believe. The key is not turned by sighs, nor by fears, nor by anxious striving. The key turns in the silence of faith, in the calm assurance that the door is already swinging open. That is why affirmations must not be hollow repetitions, but words breathed with life, charged with the certainty that they cannot fail. When you declare, "The Father holds the key to my riches, and the door swings wide now," do not mutter it with doubt, but speak it as though you were already standing inside the treasure room. For in truth you are. When you hold to such a word, the outer conditions begin to shift. Doors that were shut open easily. Opportunities appear where none were seen before. People come into your life as channels of supply. Money arrives through avenues unexpected. The seeming impossible becomes natural. And you marvel at how quickly the invisible takes shape when you speak with faith. Truly the word is your rod and your staff. It leads you beside green pastures and still waters. There is no limit to what you may call forth. The Father's storehouse is inexhaustible. To declare riches is not selfish, for when you prosper, others prosper through you. Your plenty blesses many, your wealth becomes a channel of good. Spirit never withholds, Spirit only gives. You are not taking from another. You are opening the door to your own portion. What is yours by divine right cannot be taken by another, and what belongs to another can never be yours. Therefore walk without fear, speak without envy, rejoice without hesitation. The Father holds the key, and He delights in turning it for you. Let every day begin and end with the word of faith. When you rise, declare, "This is a day of miracles. The door of fortune swings wide for me now." When you retire at night, affirm, "I rest in the riches of God, secure and supplied." Let the last word upon your lips and the first word upon your tongue be one of faith. Thus you saturate your mind with truth, and the truth must set you free, for the law works for all who work with it. It is no respecter of persons, it is only a respecter of faith. So we walk from shadow into light, from chance into certainty, from delay into manifestation. We do not wander wondering if the door will ever open. We know it is opening even now, and because we know, we rejoice. And because we rejoice, the blessing hastens, for the Father has given us the key, and that key is the living word upon our lips. Speak it with faith, speak it with joy, and watch the treasure room of heaven pour forth its abundance upon you. Beloved, we have walked together through the unseen halls of spirit, where every door stands waiting, where every lock has its key, and where every blessing already exists in perfection. We have seen that the Father is never withholding, that He delights in giving, and that His supply is as endless as His love. The treasure is not afar off, hidden in mystery, nor is it reserved for a chosen few. It is here, it is now, it is for you. You are not left in the darkness, fumbling with chance, nor are you bound by the world's idea of luck. You are guided by divine law, and that law is precise, unfailing, and sure. The Father holds the key, and when you align your words, your thoughts, and your faith with Him, the door must swing open. It cannot remain shut, for truth always unlocks, and love always gives. Therefore go forth no longer speaking of delay, no longer fearing lack, no longer doubting the ways and means. Instead, lift your voice with certainty. The Father holds the key to my fortune, and the door opens wide for me now, under grace in perfect ways. Let this word be your shield, your song, your victory. As you declare it, so it is. You shall see doors open where none were visible, streams flow in desert places, and treasures pour forth in perfect timing. You shall know that what is yours by divine right cannot be withheld, cannot be lost, cannot be delayed. So walk on in faith, walk on in joy, walk on in certainty. The keys are in the Father's hand, and He has already turned them for you. The door is open, and the riches of heaven are pouring into your life this very hour. Claim them with gratitude, receive them with gladness, and use them as a channel of blessing to the world. And so it is.